You are told these things because your brother knows that the age of the twice born draws to its close. Because of those who have devoted their lives to the discovery of truth, there is progress in the sphere of the Spirit. Nothing has been lost. Nothing has been vain. The great gates are still closed, but they are no longer bolted. Now they will open at a knock. The road is better marked, and the way more clearly indicated. They who led the path have departed from earth, but their service has not ended. They serve still in another place. While life on earth moves forward, life in the sphere of spirit does not stand still. That's a little quote out of this book right here, the Colburn Bible. Came across this book about 5-6 years ago, and there's one chapter that stood out to me, and that chapter is in a book called The Sons of Fire in the Colburn. And chapter 2 talks about an initiation process called the Mystery of the Twice Born. When I came across this book, I went on YouTube and I tried to find if anybody else is talking about this book, if anybody else has commentary or whatever. And that's how I came across Christian, like 6 years ago. He was talking about this book. And now 6 years later, he came up in the algorithm, and I reached out to him, like, dude, I saw you a long time ago. So here I am. Now, this little chapter right here stood out to me for one particular reason, and that is it outlines the purpose, the goal of life, and it established a certain ideal. Men possess creeds of little value because they're unwilling to pay the price for something better. It talks about an initiation process for which men were preparing for over 20 years. And all of that preparation was to address a couple things that we deal with on a daily basis. It talks about how during the preparation process, for long years, he who aspired to become one of the twice born had to practice the awakening of the spirit and bring his body under complete control. The first thing to overcome was met long before any threshold of initiation was approached. It was something which lurked in the uncontrolled thoughts of men. So before you even attempt any initiation, you had to get your unconscious mind figured out and under control. And I feel like that is the ideal, at least the beginning of the path. Getting our minds and our will under control is how we attain freedom, and isn't that the ideal? So I guess the question that I pose to the brotherhood, to the academy in general, what is the ideal? Why do anything? And I know I come across as though I'm challenging or in a challenging manner. And it is true. I am a man that when I'm not slacking, which I often do, when I'm not slipping, when I'm not fucking around, I challenge myself. Soon after I read this specific chapter, The Mystery of the Twice Born, which when I was reading it, it hit me like a lightning bolt all the way through. Goosebumps. When I was reading this chapter, it was speaking to me, and I dared to wonder if there's anything like this, and I dared to reach my hand out to try and grasp at something like this during my lifetime here. And within a week, it was not even 2 weeks, within a week, the Modern Day Night Project came up, and I did some research. You probably haven't heard of the Modern Day Night Project. You could look it up. It's a 75-hour challenge set up by like a Navy SEAL, an MMA fighter, a very successful entrepreneur, a SWAT team dude, and a Marine, and obviously a bunch of other people that are helping the whole process. And the whole idea is to break you down. You go through the 75 hours. You don't get much sleep. You kind of get food, but you get water. But they cut a lot of that shit out and test your limits and boundaries. And if you don't have it, you ring the bell and you leave. You could leave anytime. Or you go all the way and you find out where your boundaries are. That being said, I'm going to read a couple things from this chapter to express what my ideal is. From that day onward, his conduct, the person that went through the initiation, his conduct and attitudes are changed, and he is at peace with all men and with himself. That's an ideal. He needs nothing from earthly life and seeks nothing. That's an ideal. He accepts and enjoys whatever life offers. He has learned the answer to the riddle of life and solved the secret of the ages. That is the ideal. Your brother was one who underwent the initiation of the twice born, and he has drawn the curtain aside a little to reveal only what is permitted. Yet long and terrible though it was, both the preparation and initiation, the time and austerity did not exceed the necessary limits by even one bit. In sorrow your brother must say that it was not an ordeal required to obtain something man never possessed. It was to regain something he has lost. It was, however hard it may seem, the lowest price payable for the secret of the ages. This ritual, this process of initiation was something required by those who were to be in any positions of power. And for a while, if you were to be a king, a priest, a person with any power, you had to go through something like this. You had to go through this. And then the men, later it had came about that the hidden places had to be further secured, and only men long established in goodness could enter them. Those in high places and those with power shirked the austerities and dangers demanded, and thereby they cut themselves off from the light of truth. The kings and governors who ruled the Egypt during all the many long generations of twilight and darkness were born to the frailties of the flesh. Seeing only through earthly eyes, they lacked the clear guidance of revelation and knowledge. The ideal is to get the body, the mind, and the desires under control. Isn't that what all of the spiritual teachings are essentially about? The tree of life has many branches, and that which is initiation bears the best fruit. And that is about that, your brother writes. There's one more quote that I would like to pull out of here. This is one among the lesser mysteries, the ritual of the twice born. It is a ceremony to regain spiritual vigor and restore spiritual power, whereby a chosen one dies and rises again. It is only the older men who had completed the 3 cycles of 7 years were accepted. They had to be men with wisdom and courage, with the strength and fortitude to survive. Other essentials were absolute purity and the complete self-discipline, the ability for self-sacrifice and a strict sense of duty were demanded. Only men possessing all these 3 qualities could cross the border in the consciousness and return. I mean, that's the ideal. At least for me. I see in Jesus' teachings, he talks about the kingdom of heaven being like a man who desired a beautiful pearl. And to attain this gem, he sold everything. Another example, he talks about a man that was digging in the dirt in somebody else's field, which is, according to Bhagavad Gita, you're the field. You're the field. And then there's the knower of the field, which is Atman. So the man is digging in a field and he comes across something peculiar. It's a treasure chest, and he dares to open it. He dares to possess it. And the price for the field and the treasure was everything he had. Why do anything? Why do anything if all we're going to give are half measures? The time we're in right now requires a full measure to be paid. Like, isn't that the vision of the brotherhood? Isn't that the vision for the academy in general, is for men to come together and develop themselves in the way where they can offer a full measure. So for me, like, I don't see doing the monastery just for fun. Like, I see it being deeply fulfilling. Because if you cut out social media and phone, what's going to happen is you'll have more meaning in your life. If you cut out if I cut out, when I cut out all of the crutches, substance abuse, little addictions, nicotine, caffeine, alcohol, weed, I'm more in touch with myself. That's not asceticism. These are the basics. This is when I cut these things out, I have a deeper relationship with myself. There's nothing in the way. Like, all of these things are tools to use at an appropriate time with purpose and intention. But when these things become a daily thing, when porn becomes a thing that you control, when sexuality is uncontrolled, all we're doing is running away from ourselves. So this is not asceticism to me. These are the basics. Cut out phones so we can actually focus. Cut out substances so that there's nothing in the way. Like, and I'm not saying cut them out completely. Like, something that I didn't mention is I see every man having a number of things that they are willing to put aside and sacrifice, but also have one thing that they will, that's not vanity, it's, what's the word? Have one thing that they can indulge in once a week, say on Saturday, which is the day to go out, the day to basically do whatever the fuck you want, the day when you get your phone, the day when you can go see your girlfriend, and if you want to do whatever with her, you can do whatever with her, to see your wife, that's your thing. But if beer is one of the things that you'd like to indulge, then yeah, you could have a six-pack on a Saturday or smoke a cigarette or whatever. So it's not like complete, like, I'm not looking to, for example, I got back into running, and not just running, but running with a shirt off when it's 20 degrees. And I'm trying to get my 5-year-old son to do it, which he has when it's 32 degrees. But say when it's 16, 18 degrees, you go on a mile run, and with your shirt off, feels good. And I would love to do that with other men, but it snowed yesterday, and it's gonna be 12 or 16 degrees. I'm crazy enough to do it, but I'm not gonna do it. I'll probably do something else, like roll around in the snow, but I'm not gonna go on a run. I don't require other men, no, get your shoes wet, no, go slip and slide, go, no. Like, there are boundaries to these things. However, if the weather permits and it's nothing crazy, yeah, let's go on a run. 22 degrees is not gonna kill you, it's uncomfortable. But that's what's required. A full measure, being uncomfortable. There's one more passage that I want to see if I can pull up. I'm gonna pause. So I found the passage, still in the Colburn Bible, but it's at the end. It's in the Book of Britain, and it echoes. It has certain motifs, a certain flavor that goes in line with the storytelling hour that Adam puts on. So it has a similar feel to it. Those who seek to shun the battle of life because of cowardice or selfishness find that their attempts to run away are in vain. For the law compels them to engage, because human destiny, individual and collective, is bound to the rock of the law. That which is avoided is enforced. I come before the dire days to carry out a sword against evils which threaten our race, and to direct the struggle of man into correct channels. Be true to yourself and answer accordingly to your own inner knowledge. Are your God-given qualities, which all possess, marshaled to carry out the designs of God? The rallying call has sounded, and it echoes in every responsive heart. Arm yourself for the fray with the God-given powers within. Align them to fight on the side of good. The call has gone out, and the inner forces of every real man are required to rally to the cause of humankind. If everyone in the world would rally their own special forces within and throw these into the battle on the side of good, the earth would overflow with goodness. Men and women are apathetic. Instead of taking up the sword against evil, they stand aside like menials. So evil grows, and the main cause of the present sorry state of the people is man's lack of fighting spirit. In war, it is the cause that counts, and it is not enough to resist evil. It must be attacked. When you have conquered the weakness within yourself and assumed full control, which is the ideal, you are a true knight ready to go out and fight. The trumpet has sounded, and the rallying call rings out, so do not seek a place of protection. Do not hesitate in this dramatic hour. Say not that these things foreshadow the things in the days far ahead, or that they are a residue from the past. Cease all disagreement among yourselves. Unite as comrades in arms. There will, of course, be arguments and differences, but be men not enough, but be men enough not to lay them aside. We are in our present sorry state because of the past disunity and disobedience to the law. Sorry about my reading, but my question is, what is the ideal? My question is, what does a full measure look like? My question is, do you agree that we are entering a time of battle? And if we are, my question is, what does that battle require? Because for me, the monastery is a safe haven, an oasis that prepares men for war. It is a place where men can cultivate those attributes necessary to prevail. I want to play a role in challenging men and myself to give a full measure. And unfortunately, the full measure requires everything.